My husband almost our baby and my toddler saved him. My wife is addicted to the gym and it's ruining our marriage. My wife came out to me as a lesbian yesterday and I'm shattered. Daughter's ex-boyfriend soliciting me for sex. My husband doesn't know that I know what he's up to. Welcome to another reading and judging Reddit stories video. And once again, welcome to another janky ass intro video. I'm still traveling, I'm still in Denver, but I still got the doggos. If you guys are new here, my name is Sarby. I read Reddit stories for you and then come up with arguments that I can think of for both sides of the stories. And your job is to agree with my arguments, challenge my arguments, or just straight up disagree with them in the comments below, respectfully. This video is from my last live stream when I read the 5 most upvoted posts in r/BestofRedditorUpdates for the month of March, so you know these stories are good. Appreciate you for tuning into the video. Let's read some Reddit stories. Coming in at the 5th most upvoted post in r/BestofRedditorUpdates for the month of March, my wife is addicted to the gym and it's ruining our marriage. Original post, February 1st, 2024. My wife is 30 years old and she's always worked out and been in shape, but lately I feel like it's becoming excessive. She used to regularly work out at a gym when she was in college. At some point, she stopped going to the gym, I think lately just due to her schedule, and preferred to work out at home or go for runs outside. About 18 months ago, she announced she was going to get back into the habit of going to the gym. She now had a job where she's able to make more time for it. It started off normal, but slowly became more and more frequent. She signed up for classes on the weekend both days. She started going to the gym every day. Then it became the morning before work, and then again later in the evening, every single day. If she's stressed, she's going to the gym. Experienced some sort of life crisis, she immediately heads to the gym. We have an argument, runs to the gym. She's 4 months pregnant right now. I'm kind of surprised we even had time to make a kid. I understand that it's safe for her to work out, especially since she was already in the habit of doing it before she got pregnant, but the intensity is not slowing down. If she misses one of her normal gym sessions, she becomes so irritable, like a junkie not getting her fix. It's just bizarre. Truly a case of too much of a good thing. Of course, she gets upset when I voice that I feel like it's becoming an unhealthy obsession and that I miss spending time with her because she's there so much. She has all of these friends and this whole circle of people there that she seems to prefer spending time with over me. Why don't we work out together at the gym? The gym is her time, she says. This isn't a case of me feeling insecure because she's in great physical shape and I'm a fat slob. I work out and I'm in shape. My job really requires me to stay in shape, so I can't let myself go if I wanted to. I genuinely feel her gym habits aren't healthy. She's over-exercising for one. There is such a thing. But worse than that, I feel like it's becoming a way for her to escape everything else in her life. She never actually fixed anything that goes wrong in her life. She just runs off to the gym to get some sort of mood boost and then that's it. She also never gets anything else done in a practical sense because how can she when she's at the gym so often? It's to the point where I have to do every chore, and if food is getting made, I'm going to have to do it. I don't expect her to do all of those things, but it should be at least a shared effort. People we know have even commented about it to me. They've said things about how she seems different, how she sure is at the gym a lot, and many of her friends and family barely see her anymore. Some have even suggested she's having an affair with somebody else there. Please tell me that this doesn't sound normal to you. She insists this is perfectly normal. I'm a huge advocate for the gym, but if you're going both in the morning and at night and you're not training for something, that is excessive. If your partner feels like they're doing a majority of the chores and the cooking and the cleaning and you're going too much. Yes, the gym is a great place to I had a bad day, I just need a reset. It shouldn't be like, I'm just gonna keep doing this to escape my problems in my life. Either your girlfriend needs an intervention or there is a possibility she is cheating. Update 1, February 11th, 2024. She won't let me go to her gym and she refuses to go to mine. Her gym is her place. My gym is my place, and that's just the way it has been according to her. I'd love to have her come along with me. I've invited her multiple times. She's about 18 weeks pregnant now. This is our first baby. She worked out like crazy prior to the pregnancy and she continues to just as hard now. I truly didn't think she was cheating on me. People suggested it in the last thread and I laughed. You can tell she's at the gym a lot. She's in great shape, so she's obviously going there. I felt really confident about the cheating issue, and when I posted 9 days ago, I wasn't even considered cheating. I'm embarrassed to admit that after reading a lot of the comments on my last post, I thought maybe I was being overly confident about her fidelity. She usually always has her phone on her, but she left it in the kitchen counter, and as stupid as I felt, I decided to do a quick swipe through of her texts. She had a current text conversation going on with a guy. I recognized the name. the same name of a guy from the gym she mentions a lot. She's friends with a lot of people there, went to one of their weddings last fall. I wasn't too terribly concerned until I started reading the text. Never wanted to know what the guy's dick looked like, but I know now. She was only out of the room for literally about a minute or two, so I had to scroll fast. I was furious. I asked her what the fuck that conversation was about. She started yelling at me for looking at her phone. I told her she's acting so weird and the gym obsession was really bothering me, so I just decided to look and was ashamed that I did, but that I thought I'd find nothing at all. She said, it's nothing. Didn't look like nothing to me. She sure seemed pretty interested in this nothing. I wanted to know if she's been fucking him. For how long? She kept saying no. I left the house because I was so furious, but not before I slammed her phone on the ground and shattered it. She was calling me all sorts of names for breaking her phone. She hit me on the back as hard as she could. I left, went to my brother's house. My brother and sister-in-law were shocked. Although my sister-in-law was one of the most vocal ones about my wife's gym obsession being weird and bringing it up to me constantly. I went home, she was in bed crying. She obviously couldn't call me or anyone else for that matter. She was laying it on thick. I don't know if you'd ever come home. Give me a break. I took her phone to get repaired tonight. She doesn't deserve it, but I feel like an ass breaking her phone. I still don't know how deep it goes. She won't admit to anything beyond what I saw. Was it sexting bad enough or more? I'm convinced it was a lot more, but she refuses to hand over her phone and is now trying to act like I'm this terrible monster who is abusing her because I broke her phone. Not my proudest moment, but I honestly wanted to body slam her after she punched me. I have never and would never actually touch her like that. Not trying to like victim blame OP, but like, bro, come on. He couldn't put together the A plus B equals C of like, your wife is spending a lot of time at the gym. She won't let you meet her friends. She's maybe cheating. Now that he's figured out that there's some hinky pinky going on, now he can't put together my wife is cheating, my wife is pregnant, is that little bastard mine? Update 2. My wife admitted to an affair. Today, my wife asked me to stay home from work so we could talk. She laid in bed all day yesterday trying to get me to feel sorry for her, but I paid absolutely no attention to her and ended up leaving to the house to go to my friend's Super Bowl party. I wasn't in the mood to go, but I wasn't going to sit at home with her. It really bothered her that I left. She kept texting me things like, who just leaves like that when something like this is happening? Who is that cold and callous that they just leave to go to a party? I stayed home today to talk to her. She was full of tears. She's so sorry. According to her, she really was going to the gym twice a day because she likes going there. That's where her friends are, makes her feel good. It's fun for her. She met this guy there and he started flirting with her. Everyone likes him. He's one of the most popular guys there. I didn't realize there were popular people at the gyms. She admitted that she flirted back, but didn't mean anything by it. She didn't reciprocate very much at first, but he gave her butterflies and she just found herself flirting back without thinking. She said it felt like when she had a crush on somebody when she was in school, when she was younger. They started texting. At first it was just friendly and nothing sexual for several months, but she'd feel giddy every time she got a message from him. She was really attracted to him, but told him that she was married and there could never actually be anything between them. According to her, he kept flirting with her anyway and said, sure, we won't cross the line, until they did cross the line. She said she tried to resist it for a while, but then one day they kissed. She admitted to enjoying it, but also feeling that it was wrong. She must not have felt that bad because she slept with him for the first time later that night. Yeah, babe, I just felt so bad. We decided to smash. She described it like falling in love with someone for the first time. All she could think about was him. Is she in love with him? She doesn't know. Is this baby mine? She thinks so, but there's always a small chance it could be his. He always uses a condom, so she doesn't think it's his baby, but they were sleeping together at the time she got pregnant. She loves me. She can't help that there's just this huge spark between the two of them. She doesn't know if she loves him. She doesn't know if the baby is mine. She doesn't know why she did this. She doesn't know what she thinks we should do. Does your wife know her fucking name? Sounds like she doesn't know a lot. The nail in the coffin is when she said, you would really leave me if it's not your baby, would you? She had the balls to ask me that. I told her, of course I'm leaving her and I wouldn't raise another man's child. She seemed shocked. She said, really? With everything we have and all of our history, you wouldn't even consider it? She can't be serious. I told her, no, I would never consider it. She agreed to get a DNA test. She tearfully agreed, like I'm supposed to feel sorry for her about it. I don't know who this woman is. She was crying the whole time, but not the tears of an ashamed or sorry person. They were tears for herself and meant to try to make me feel bad. Feel bad for what? That her heart is apparently so torn. Some relevant comments and additional info. She's ruined my life, but I just feel numb right now. I barely feel anything at the moment. It would have been bad enough for her to have an affair and cheat on me, but she couldn't have stopped when she found out she was pregnant. At least I could have walked away if it wasn't for this pregnancy. Maybe I still can, but I won't know for sure until I get some test results. She's almost positive the baby is mine. I'm stuck dealing with her forever. My child will grow up with divorced parents. Their mom will be the gym bike. Maybe she'll even take off to live near her family and take my kid with her. Oh, but then she couldn't be near the guy who gives her butterflies and fucks her her in gym changing rooms. The thrill, the excitement. How can I even blame her? She's ruined fatherhood for me, whether this is my kid or not. If by some chance this isn't my baby and I'm able to completely break free, how will I not think of this one day when I start a family? I was so effing happy to have this baby with her. I was really excited, even though we hadn't planned for it right now. We have names picked out. I've been there for everything, and now she does this to me. Not only me, but this poor kid, regardless of who their father is. My prediction is that it's not going to be OP's baby, because who the fuck brings a condom to the gym? So my guess is that when they're hooking up in changing rooms, they're probably not wearing condoms. Someone commented, she still thinks there is hope to save your relationship? Jesus Christ. OOP responded, yeah, I believe she still thinks there's a chance I'll agree to raise another man's child with her. She doesn't take me seriously when I say there's no way I'd do that. She's dependent on me. She probably wouldn't leave me if I knocked somebody else up and wanted her to play mommy. I know that sounds terrible and it's nothing I'd ever do, but I feel like she'd be mad and she'd go screw someone else to get back at me, but she probably would be too scared to actually leave me. I don't feel the same way about leaving her. I'm sad to leave her. I don't want this to be our reality. I can't even say that I completely hate her yet, but I won't raise another man's child. If she feels so strongly about that guy and he's so wonderful, go get together with him then and leave everyone else alone. She was practically on her knees yesterday saying, I won't go back to the gym. I won't ever contact him again. I feel like that doesn't really mesh with the fact that she doesn't even know if she's in love with him or not. She's obviously still had very strong feelings for him, which are probably coming more from between her legs than her actual heart, but doesn't really matter either way to me. I think despite anything to do with him, she's dependent on me in a way. For stability, maybe. Just out of comfort, maybe. We've been together since she was 20 years old, so I'm just this familiar person, I guess. She has her gym friends out here, but other than that, she has no family or friends out here. She makes pretty good money, but I make more and all of our benefits are through me. Even with her good salary, it would be difficult to survive on her own as a single mom here with all of the daily living expenses, or at least live anywhere near the level she wants to live at. Today is the day she was crying all night about how she's ruined her life. She seemed genuine, like reality is hitting her, but I didn't pay any attention to her at all. I just pretended she wasn't there. I did ask her if she'll get blood drawn for a paternity test. I asked her to please not hurt me further by keeping me in limbo about this for months. She said she doesn't want to. OOP on if he got a lawyer and if he ever met the affair partner. I'm meeting with a lawyer next week and we'll see what they advise. Yes, I met the AP last summer. He called her because he was drunk at a bar and couldn't drive home, so he called her to come get him. I didn't think it was a good idea for her to go pick somebody up late that night, so I went with her. I want her out of the house, but I don't necessarily want her to fly back home to where she's from just yet. If this is my kid and she gives birth out here, I'll be in a much better position. If she leaves and goes home to her parents, she could very well be allowed to stay there and would be considered the baby's place of residence. She missed a few days of work, but she has gone to work since all this has happened. She was having a meltdown this morning and I left for work. She told me she had to go in late today, and when she got there, everyone was making her food and tea and stuff. She obviously didn't tell them what really happened. How long the affair was happening? She claims they've been sleeping together since summer. That's just what she claims, of course. Update 3. My wife is moving in with her affair partner. They're in love. Today, she announced that she's moving in with her affair partner from the gym. She's pregnant. Might be his kid, might be mine. She's too embarrassed to go get blood drawn for a paternity test. She spent about a week trying to get my attention, to get me to talk to her, to get me to beg her to be mine. I didn't fall for any of it. I've largely been ignoring her, and when we have to speak, I keep it very brief. We've been living together this whole time, but I'm in a different room now and functioning separate from her in all ways. So her pouting and trying to get me to pay attention to her and give her a gold star for not going to the gym for 5 days in a row didn't work. Today, she texted me to say she is moving in with him. Somehow, I still don't care about this person. I've already met with a lawyer though. I can care about her as a human being and possible mother of my child without being married to her. Still, it stung to hear her say she is going to be with him. I told her it wasn't a smart move to leave the house. I've even told her she should probably meet with a lawyer. She doesn't care about anything I have to say. I don't think she needs to move in with anybody. I actually feel bad for her that she can't just be on her own. I asked her if he actually knew she was pregnant and wanted to know what story she's been telling him this whole time. She said he knows and he doesn't care if it's my baby. He loves her and wants to be with her. Bizarre. You can't find anybody else? Somebody who isn't a married pregnant woman? Why would you take that on? Doesn't make sense to me. He's scum, but he's good looking scum who apparently is gainfully employed and owns his own home. So you can't tell me that my married pregnant wife is your only option here. I just can't imagine being a single guy like that and wanting to put up with this baggage when I could have other options. And if this really is my baby, then what? To live with my wife and this weasel 50% of the time? I don't know how my life turned into this mess. And she thinks it's embarrassing to have to go get blood drawn. Update 4. My wife has agreed to a paternity test. My wife moved in with her affair partner last week. She didn't take very much at all. Most of her stuff is still in our house. I still get the feeling she was just waiting for me to beg her to come home, but I didn't reach out to her at all after she left. It was a strange mixture of relief, anger, and sadness. I don't think I ate at all until last night. Just never felt hungry. Drank a little too much, but I'm fine. fine. So this morning she texted me to say her affair partner wants to get a DNA test done, so she's going to do it. Look at that. Didn't matter when I wanted one, but now that he has requested it, she suddenly thinks it's a great idea. She asked if I wanted to submit a sample because it'll be cheaper to have 2 dads tested as a part of one package. I don't even care about the cost at this point. I just want an answer. I don't have to see or interact with them at all. I just have to make my own appointment with the lab to get my cheek swabbed. So this Saturday, I'm going to do that and we should have the results within a week. I'll take what I can get at this point because it's better than her dragging this out for another 20 weeks. So that's it. I'm fine. I'm going to work every day, trying to function, just feel stuck in limbo. I miss her. Honestly, I hate that she's there with him. It makes me sick. Part of me does want to beg her to come home. It'll be even worse if I find out that it's my baby and she's there with him. Unless he drops her at that news. I won't let myself beg her. I won't play any of those games with her. Some relevant comments and updates. OOP, at 11 this morning, I got the news that I'm the father. I feel incredibly conflicted right now, but I think that you should try and set up a meeting with her somewhere public to discuss the pregnancy and the future in general with her. Whether or not your marriage is going to end, the kid is still going to be a big part of your lives, so it would be best to see where both of you stand in that regard. Also, I recall you saying earlier that you think that your wife would listen to what her affair partner would say to her, or something similar to that. So now that it's not his kid, I would be concerned about him pressuring her into getting an abortion. So I think you really should talk to your wife about your unborn child and whatnot. Can you get an abortion at 28 weeks? I don't think that's possible, is it? OP said, we definitely need to talk, but I got the news in the middle of the workday, so I wasn't in the mood to have a full-blown conversation with her. I think I need to sort of wrap my head around the reality of it all before I say too much to her anyway. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't be OP's baby, but I mean, at least he'll get a kid. That kid's gonna be so messed up, man. Final update. We recently had a paternity test done at the request of her affair partner, and it proves that the baby is mine. It's been very mixed emotions for me, very up and down. Originally, I thought I just wanted to be completely done with her and not have any lifelong ties in the form of a full-blown human being we shared. But I was sort of happy or relieved when I got the results. I'd already had it in my mind that I was going to be a father for months before I found out she was cheating. Sometimes I just have moments where I can't believe this is my life, that this is the situation that my kid will be born into, and I hate her for it. She's still living with him. All of her belongings are still here in our house. I refuse to do the work of packing everything up for her. She doesn't seem concerned about taking any of her things beyond the essentials. After we got the news that I'm the baby's father, she texted me to say she's glad I'm the father and that she knows I'll be a great dad. She was texting me new baby name ideas last night. She's tried calling, but I ignored the calls. I only speak with her via text. This morning, she asked if she could come by and get a few things. I told her it was fine, as I've been advised by my lawyer to not prevent her entry from the home, but I told her that he better not be with her. So who shows up with her? The scumbag boyfriend. He walks right on into the house behind her like it's no big deal. She ran upstairs to get the stuff she wanted, and he and I were just left standing there in the living room. He told me it wasn't her fault that he was there. She told him I didn't want him to come, but he forced his way along. He wanted to talk to me, supposedly to tell me he understands how I must be feeling. No, you don't know. He told me he knows I probably don't believe him, but he genuinely loves her and knew he probably wasn't the father. He accepts it and then tried to assure me he won't try to take my place with the baby and hopes we can just get along since we're both going to be in her life now. He promises that she's fine. He's looking after her. I told him that I couldn't for the life of me imagine what he wanted with a pregnant woman who is having another man's child, that I found it weird. Then I told him if he didn't get out of my house, I'd punch him. I went upstairs and she was trying to find some things in the bathroom. I got mad, asked her why she brought him along, and told her I find it really strange that he still wants to be with her now that he knows he has nothing to do with this baby, and that I refuse to let him have anything to do with my child. She said he talked her into coming and she's sorry and never meant for any of this to happen, but she's in love with him now. He is supposedly what 30-year-old her is looking for, not me. She's setting up a nursery in his house and I can set one up at my house, and she has no intention of trying to get full custody or anything like that. She doesn't want to keep me from being involved in my child's life. How generous of her. She went back downstairs and I followed her. He was still standing there in the living room and I just walked up to him and punched him. He stumped back and fell into a table. She yelled, "What the fuck?" and ran over to him. I don't even care at this point. As if he's going to call the cops. He deserved it, and it wouldn't have happened if he just left like I told him to. Several hours later, she texted me to say she was sorry about today. He really meant what he said, and he's actually a really good guy, and he cares about her, and he respects me. What the fuck? He respects me? He was screwing my wife in the gym locker room. I was like, you can't be serious. She said, fine, I'm trying to have a mature conversation about this. I can't help that we fell in love. Believe it or not, I'm not trying to hurt you, and I want everything to be amicable. This guy stole my wife, and he's stealing my kid too. Sure, I'm the actual father, but now they're setting up a nursery together in his house. I've tried to not feel jealous or sad. I've tried to maintain the thought that he's the trash man who picked up my garbage. Sometimes I feel that way, but the truth is that I loved her, and I still love her. I don't want to stay married to her in the principle alone, but this is devastating to me. What the hell was he doing being like, yeah, this is a great idea. I'm gonna go go into the house of the guy whose wife I was screwing, because that's gonna go over so well. That's like dumb gym bro who's taking steroids mentality right there. Definitely not the fairy tale ending that we wanted. I think this guy is gonna totally cheat on this girl. I feel bad for OP, but like my real like sympathies are going to this child. The kid's gonna need therapy. Coming in at the 4th most upvoted post of r/bestofredditorupdates for the month of March. My husband almost killed our baby and my toddler saved him. Original post March 11th, 2024. We have a 25 female OP and a 30 male husband. I've been with my husband since 2018. We have a 3-year-old girl and a newborn boy, but tonight things almost took a turn for the worst. My husband has always had trouble paying attention, but I never thought it would come to this. Our neighborhood is weirdly laid out with cars zooming by at crazy speeds at all hours of the day. I was folding clothes when I heard our toddler screaming, "Dad, help." That tone made me drop everything and sprint outside. What I saw made my blood run cold. Our newborn in his stroller careening towards the busy street. I screamed and ran to him, barely stopping the stroller in time. My baby girl's hands and knees were scratched up because she tripped trying to run after the stroller. I snatched up my baby, heart pounding, and scanned for my husband. He wasn't watching. He was chatting with neighbors, completely oblivious. The anger I felt was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I stormed up to him, shouting in disbelief. He looked shocked at first, then realized what almost happened. The apologies and tears came pouring out, but it was too late. I couldn't wrap my head around how he could be so careless, so blind to our toddler's screams and the stroller rolling away. I packed up the kids and left, staying with my parents. They're on my side, but my husband keeps texting, begging forgiveness, calling it an honest mistake. But I can't shake the terror of almost losing my baby because he couldn't focus for a single second. My baby girl got hurt in the process because he couldn't pay attention. I almost lost my son because he couldn't pay attention. I can't stop crying. I feel so guilty. I wish this all never happened. Sorry it's short. I just want to hold my babies and I can't stop shaking every time I think about it. What if I was just 1 second late? Would I have been planning a funeral? And the reason I left the house instead of him was because I hate that house. I don't feel like it's safe for the kids with all the traffic, and I was right. It's my husband's work house. I can't be running either. I had a C-section less than 6 weeks ago. A lot of people are saying, why wasn't I watching the kids? I was doing their laundry like a parent. He takes them for walks to have bonding time with them. He literally created this by himself. This has never happened before. How was I supposed to know? And people saying, why didn't I get him checked out? I'm not his mother. He is 30 years old. I'm sick of people acting like I have to parent my own husband while I literally have a newborn and a toddler. And I'm still healing from a C-section that I teared my stitches from when I ran to get my baby. I don't care if he has ADHD. The court wouldn't care either. If he killed my child, he would have went to prison either way. What a bunch of fucking losers to be in the comments like, oh, this is your fault. I want to be sympathetic to the fact that maybe there's something wrong with this husband. Maybe homeboy does have ADHD, or maybe he's hard of hearing. Either way, you figure that the fuck out before you have kids and before you potentially put them in danger. There's no excuse for like, oh, I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'm talking to people, and therefore I can't at least have 30 to 40% attention on where the fuck my kids are, especially a stroller. Relevant comments and additional info. Okay, he's 100% wrong and I'd be livid just like you. However, I'm a little confused of the situation. Like, why was your baby just in a stroller unattended? Why did the stroller randomly go into the road? Since it sounds like you were at home, is this maybe something y'all normally do just to have a place for baby to sit out front of your yard when your toddler is playing outside? And maybe it was a freak accident. I'm going to be honest, as a mom, most of us have stories of near-death experiences with our kids. We can be naive and stupid and expect a little child to have more awareness/survival skills than they do. When my son was 2, we had a horrible experience with an escalator, and I still have times where I can't sleep because of it. We are all idiots when it comes to parenting, because how can you know until you live it? And seriously, like, every parent has one of these moments, unless you're one of those insanely lucky ones. I still really don't understand the whole scenario of what happened, but to me it seems like he really has remorse and feels terrible. And once you go through something like that, you never forget it. So if he cares and loves your kids, he's devastated and has learned a hard lesson. I don't know that your response was the best, but I get why you did it in the moment. But I think you guys need to have a serious talk and maybe look into moving if possible. I wouldn't go straight to divorce like Reddit loves to preach. I think there's a solution here. So sorry you're dealing with this. It's literally the worst feeling in the world. OP responds, when I was outside, he was standing on the neighbor's driveway. I assume that he must have had left the baby literally on the road because there was no possible way that it would have rolled off like that. And my toddler was playing with the neighbor's cat before she noticed her brother was rolling away. When I confronted him about it, he tried to explain, but he just kept stuttering. I still don't know what exactly happened. I don't know if he didn't put the brakes on the stroller, if the wind blew him away, I just don't know. My neighbor contacted me and had asked if I wanted the security footage because his wife is 100% on my side, so I'll probably find out once it gets sent to me. So homeboy left the stroller with his baby on the sidewalk? Who does that, bro? Like, take the baby with you. That's weird. Someone commented, I want to acknowledge that this is a horrific situation, but saying I don't care if it was his ADHD isn't going to fix anything and will probably only make things worse. Talking and thinking about it like he intentionally tried to kill your child isn't either. With ADHD, you actually do not register things like this at all sometimes. Life expectancy for those of us with ADHD is actually significantly lower because many of us end up, often accidentally, killing ourselves. It is not the same thing as carelessness, but learning about ADHD a little deeper can help you guys be safer. Understanding how my ADHD works and using different than standard precautions like my brain needs has actually most likely saved my life. This might be extremely controversial for me to say. I think leaning into ADHD, it's making my life worse, actually makes your life worse. I know for a fact I have ADHD, but I'm not like, oh man, I have ADHD, can't focus, quirky, like it's so hard for me to pay attention. I actively work to be like, okay, I have a hard time focusing. How do I work to be better at focusing? What things can I do? Because there are things you can do to get better at focusing. I think this is such like a pussy mentality. Maybe not pussy. Pussy's the wrong way to put it. But for you to be like, oh, wee woo, I have ADHD. I almost let my actual child die. Like that just sounds like an excuse. If you have some sort of reason that you can't take care of a child, don't have a child. But once you have that kid, I don't care if you have ADHD. I think you need to figure out what do I need to do so that there is no situation where my child's life is in danger. I'm not trying to shit on anybody with ADHD. Personally, bro, on the tier of like mental illnesses that can hinder you the most, ADHD is like bottom floor. I think everybody has ADHD. Like, I don't want to pay attention to shit that's boring. Nobody does. You can pay pretty fucking good attention when you're scrolling on TikTok for 3 hours. It's because it's a habit. It's a habit and it's fun. That's why your ADHD doesn't kick in and tell you, oh, maybe you shouldn't scroll on TikTok for 3 hours. Lay out what you want from him. That's probably that he gets his ADHD better under control, whether that be through prescription medication or more homeopathic method, that you get a different place if possible, that he not take your kids out in your front yard without you, etc. Also, neither he or the neighbor noticed, but you heard your kid from the inside. Something seems off here. Were your neighbors just watching the stroller roll towards the street? Was your husband on the other side of your house where he couldn't see the stroller? Were you already walking outside as this unfolded? I'm trying to understand better what was going on here and why your husband or the neighbor didn't notice, but you did from inside. People with ADHD tend to be incredibly good and quick to act in emergency situations, so this is especially weird. I'm absolutely not accusing you of leaving anything out or anything, but asking you to think about what your husband and neighbor were doing that neither noticed. That smells fishy. Updated 11 hours later. The neighbor's wife sent me the footage and I really can't wrap my head around it. So my husband was walking with the stroller and my toddler was in front of them when they passed the neighbor's house. My neighbor was outside washing his car and my toddler saw his pet cat stop to go pet it. So my husband stopped, left my baby on the road. He didn't even bother locking the wheels and walked all the way up the driveway, not even bothering to look back at the baby. He had his back facing the baby for about 5 minutes before the stroller just suddenly started moving. I think it's because the road is on a hill kinda, or it could have been the wind. My toddler never went near the stroller. It couldn't have been her. The stroller went down the road and my toddler. That's when she started screaming and running for it. The neighbor started running after my daughter when she tripped. He tried to pick her up. That's when the neighbor's wife's car comes into frame and she stops and starts running back to the way the stroller is coming. After that, you can't really see anything because it's all out of frame, but you can hear all the commotion. My husband just stood there the whole time, hand on his head with a blank stare on his face. He didn't even do anything when our toddler was crying from hurting herself. He only started crying when I confronted him. What do? I genuinely don't know. I'm panicking. This was never the life I wanted for my kids. I don't understand why he was just standing there. I have not even gotten a text or call from him since I got sent the video. It's just been silent. I just can't get the sound of my daughter's screams. That's the sound that no mother wants to hear. I can't explain the moment, but it feels like my blood went cold and I just felt pure fear. I never want to watch the footage again. Now that we know the full situation, ADHD is no excuse. You just have to have general common sense to think, maybe I should take this child with me. I know this is the Reddit thing to do. I'm leaning towards divorce. Show the husband the video and be like, hey man, what the fuck were you doing? If there's not a good reason as to why he not only did that, and then when it happened, just stood there blank faced, I would go get a divorce and try to figure out if this evidence is good enough to claim full custody of your kids. I would not trust this husband with the kids. Like, he has actively shown that not only will he put your kids in danger, but when danger happens, he's not able to actively do anything productive to save that kid. This is the third most upvoted post. My wife came out to me as a lesbian yesterday and I'm shattered. We have a 35 male OP and a 29 female wife. Original post, March 13th, 2023. We've been together for 10 years, married for 4. She was/is the love of my life, and the thought of living life without her is unbearable. unbearable. Yesterday morning, I woke up, noticed her sitting on the patio crying, so I obviously went to go to console her and figure out what was going wrong. While fighting back tears, she manages to tell me that she's a lesbian and she's so sorry. She isn't attracted to me anymore, but she also doesn't want to leave me. I've always known she was into women as well, but it was never an issue for me. We've had quite a few threesomes with different women over the years, and they've all been amazing. I've even been fine with her exploring that side of herself with other women without me. I just wanted her to be happy and fulfilled. The entire day was spent either crying or talking about our now uncertain future. All the plans we had made about buying a home, travel, getting dogs and cats, retirement went up in smoke. We had a fantastic sex life up until a few days ago. We would have sex at least a few times a week, and we rarely failed to get each other off. We experimented and grew with each other over the years, exploring new kinks and figuring out new ways to please each other. I told her I didn't blame her, that if she really is a lesbian, it's not her fault, and she hasn't really done anything wrong, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. She's my best friend. We had/have such a wonderful, supportive relationship, and we've been through so fucking much together. I can't stand the thought of losing her and starting over. She said she doesn't want to leave me, that she still wants a future with me, just without the sex. But she also understands how unfair that is to me, so she's fine with me finding a fuck buddy, or two if I wanted. All I really want is her though. I'm so insanely attracted to her, and I make sure to tell her so every day. She's the sexiest woman in the world to me, but finding out that attraction is one-sided has obviously shattered my heart and crippled my self-esteem. I don't know what to do. I'm certain most of the comments I will get will be along the lines of move on, or the classic lawyer up, start hitting the gym, but I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that. I'm praying she's going to wake up and realize she made a mistake, that she's just overwhelmed and confused. Deep down, I know it's not how this works, but the wounds are still so fresh. I'm grasping at any little straws of hope I can find. We don't have any kids, all our pets have passed away, but we did just move into a new house last week, so we may be stuck together until next March at least. I just want my wife back. I think there's an opportunity for an open relationship. The information I would want to know is, would OP get jealous if she was hooking up with other women? Because if the answer is yes, I think he's got to cut his losses, full separate. I'm a big fan of, if you have a breakup and you're having a hard time with it, the cold cutoff is what works best. Just having them around, or like following them on social media or texting them, Snapchatting them, just makes it that much harder. Update 1 year later. Initially, she said that she wasn't going to leave me and that we could do couples therapy and figure out a path forward together. Of course, I agreed. 3 days after receiving that news, I was informed by my mother that my stepdad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. 3 days after that, I was told by my father that my stepmom was also diagnosed with skin cancer. Thankfully, my stepmom had surgery and is cancer-free, but my stepdad wasn't as fortunate. He passed away last November. He was a wonderful, funny, kind, successful, and impressive man, and I miss him a lot. Having all these things hit me within a week caused me to completely spiral out of control. I refrained from going to work. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I merely existed. I became one with my couch and distracted myself with hockey podcasts and weed. My wife did her best to be there for me, but she was obviously going through her own turmoil, and she retreated into her own world, physically and emotionally. For a bit of backstory, she had spent her life with crippling anxiety, and the mere thought of a tough conversation was enough to cause her to break down crying. But months prior to all this, she had begun taking anti-anxiety meds. So now she was finally able to communicate to me not only that she was gay, but all the other times I had let her down. 10 years worth of moments I had been inconsiderate or insufficient as a partner. I always thought we had communicated well, but apparently that was more one-sided. I had always thought I did a wonderful job as a husband. I tried to be attentive, thoughtful, caring, and compassionate. I was never abusive or cheated. We rarely fought, and when we did, we always ended up talking it out like adults. I thought I was doing a great job, but I wasn't doing the things she needed out of a partner. But since she never communicated it to me, how was I to know? Hearing about all these little moments that I had let her down hurt like hell, but it also gave me a light at the end of the tunnel. A mission: save marriage. I couldn't do anything about her being gay, but I could damn sure make up for every instance of neglect. I put together a plan to prove to her I was worth staying with. I surprised her with a picnic, got us tickets to the circus, made a reservation at a restaurant for the first time in my life, and took her for her favorite kind of food. I begun learning French. She's French Canadian. I took the lead on planning our next big vacation. I started writing her a song. I was going to give her guitar lessons since she had expressed interest in the past. I spent every minute of every day for the next 2 months figuring out ways to show her just how much she meant to me. She was also able to confess that she wanted children. We had agreed early on that kids weren't on the table, but she had a change of heart. And for her, I would have absolutely done it, and I told her so numerous times. In May, she left the country for a girls' trip to the Dominican. It had been planned for at least a year. We agreed to go minimal contact during the week-long trip so she could get her head straight and really figure out what she wanted. We actually hooked up the day before she left, and it was the first time in 2 months. I felt like everything was actually going to be okay. But the day she came home, she officially ended our marriage. Now, one of the toughest parts of this situation was we had just moved into a big new house with a few roommates on March first. Neither of us could afford to have her just move out right away. It would have screwed ourselves and our roomies over financially. We live in Vancouver and it's bloody expensive here. So we figured out a system of sharing the room. There were even times where we would still share the bed, but it eventually became too painful. So I renovated the large shed in our backyard with a futon, air conditioning, and a TV, and basically lived in it all summer. She began dating someone as time went on. She was gone more and more until she basically moved out but continued to pay rent. During these months, so many people close to me went through tragedies too. One of my closest friends lost his mom to cancer. Good friend from high school lost his wife to cancer too. I had known her through work and got to see them begin their relationship, get married, and have a beautiful daughter, only for it to end so unbelievably tragically. And mere weeks before my stepdad's passing, my stepsister's longtime partner chose to end his life. The amount of grief I felt for myself and those close to me was unbearable, unfathomable. So much loss in such a short period of time. Every day for months, I thought about ending it all, but kept going mostly because I couldn't do that to my parents. For all the bad that took place, there was actually some good. I quit my toxic but well-paying job in May due to being so overwhelmed and their lack of sympathy towards my situation. And that led me to find an absolute dream job a few months later. Now I work as the quality control guy for a large music retailer's guitar department. I get to play, test, and fix guitars every day, and it's a dream come true. A few buddies and I entered a radio contest last summer and actually won it. We improvised a 30-second commercial, submitted it, and out of 80+ entries, we won $10,000 and a nationwide play. My ex-wife actually saw our commercial play on the big screen before a movie once. I started a stupid YouTube channel with a good friend doing dumb reaction videos. It's not even remotely successful yet, but it's a fun outlet. The Christmas prior to my wife coming out, she had bought me the Blu-ray box set of the entire Dragon Ball Z series, and somehow we managed to watch all of it before, during, and after the split. I'm quite proud of that for us. And finally, last November, I met someone really special. She was also out of a long-term marriage, and they had split for pretty much the same reason. We've been officially dating since New Year's Day. She's absolutely wonderful, beautiful, intelligent, successful, and an insanely talented artist. She inspired me to start painting, and I've inspired her to take up guitar. We've been helping each other heal and enjoy life again. My ex and I are on good terms. We still care about one another and only want the best for each other. She was there when we saw my stepdad for the last time. She and my mom are still friendly, which honestly makes me really happy. She officially moved out on March 1st of this year. It's been a wild ride, from breaking down and bawling my eyes out 10 times a day to where I am now with the best job I've ever had and fun, promising new relationship. I truly didn't think I'd make it through, but I have. It sucks that all those things happened to him, but I think that's a really good testimony to sometimes bad things happen and they'll result in better things happening in the future. If this wife hadn't have come out as lesbian and Opie hadn't been so down because of it, he would have probably worked at his job for like forever. And now he has a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong. This is very like fairy tale ending in a lot of ways. And like sometimes it takes a lot longer than a year for things to end up being better. Even with what he was saying where he was like, she's the love of my life. I don't know if I'll be able to move on. Like you can, and you will. And he did. In the short term, the long term seems like impossible. I'm glad that it worked out. Maybe not perfectly, but there's a lot of silver linings here. The second most upvoted post in r/BestofRedditorUpdates, daughter's ex-boyfriend soliciting me for sex. My daughter's ex-boyfriend took my cat when they broke up. He contacted me a couple of days later and said he would return the cat if I would have sex with him, wanting to know what my legal options are. I live in Oklahoma. Irrelevant comment. How old is the boyfriend? If you trade him sex for the cat, you're engaging in prostitution. He is 18. I am in no way considering doing it. I want to know if I can use his demand against him. You can file a police report for your stolen property. Tried that. Officer said it was a civil matter and wouldn't take the report. This was before the daughter's ex made his demand. That's so fucked up, man. The update. I got my cat back. After seeing everyone's responses to my last post, I decided on a course of action to get my cat back. Long story short, I was able to contact my daughter's ex and told him I would do what he asked, but it had to be at my house and I had to be able to see my cat first, so I would know he had even brought her with him. He agreed and showed up at my house with my cat. As soon as he was in the house and I had possession of my cat, my boyfriend, who is also my daughter's father, and my daughter's new boyfriend both came out of the bedroom and nicely escorted the ex-boyfriend off my property without further incident. We love a happy ending. I just really hope it wasn't very nicely that they escorted him off. I'm kind of down for a shitty person getting their ass beat. What evidence would he provide? Why did they beat me up? Because I was blackmailing her for sex. Oh, hey man, that's illegal. Coming in at the most upvoted post, my husband doesn't know that I know what he's up to. Before we get into the last story, I just wanted to say thank you for watching the video this far. And if you're enjoying the video this far, if you could hit the subscribe button or follow if you're listening on Spotify, as well as maybe share this with a friend who also enjoys Reddit stories. I appreciate any support, and if you enjoyed the video, I'm sure your friends will too. Original post, February 26th, 2024. We got a 33 female OP and a 34 male husband. My husband and I had our first baby back in June of last year. My husband's aunt gifted our son a lovely chunky knitted blanket. The blanket is so soft, and I have made multiple comments about how I would like to find a full-size blanket just like it because it is so cozy, and I'm kind of jealous of my baby. Well, this past weekend, my husband snuck off to the store. He refused to tell me where he was going and why, but I later found a plastic bag with the logo of a local crafting store. That evening, dear husband stated that he would like to have an hour of alone time every night after our son goes to sleep. He stressed that he would like to not be disturbed, but if I needed him, then I could call/text him. I agreed to this because we are both adjusting to have very little me time since the birth of our son. Last night, during his alone time, our son started crying. I checked the baby monitor and saw that he had simply lost his pacifier and was going back to sleep. However, the baby monitor also shows part of our son's room, not just his crib. In the corner of his room, I saw my husband sitting on the floor with a bunch of chunky yarn in front of him. I turned the volume up and heard that he was watching a YouTube video on how to finger knit. This sweet man is making me a blanket. He absolutely loves surprising me, but is terrible at keeping secrets. I just know that he's going to slip up and accidentally mention something about the blanket at some point. I plan on acting clueless so that I will still be surprised when he gives it to me. I just love him so much, and I'm so delighted that he's learning a new skill so I can have a custom blanket. Bro, that's so cute. I'm so glad this is a wholesome one. After this stream, we needed a wholesome one, bro. Some relevant comments here. OMG, the title made me sound like this couldn't have been something else, but it's so cute. Why do men always seems to forget about the baby monitor? Because he isn't being deceptive. If anything, he has allowed her to know that he isn't up to anything by being in the view of the baby monitor. He's being very transparent about this surprise gift, and I love this for OP. It is something I will steal and do for my partner when we have kids. So he just came home from work and mentioned his alone time again. To keep up the facade, I asked him what he would be doing during that time. He said, just working on some stuff. Since he's so terrible at keeping surprises, he always tells me I have something planned, but I can't tell you what it is. And then we do this back and forth where I ask about it and he refuses to tell me. So for the sake of his surprise to me, I will keep occasionally asking him what he's up to during his alone time. Update. My sweet husband broke. He kept on mentioning that he was working on a surprise for me. I would occasionally ask what this mysterious project was, and he would get a cheeky smile and say, I can't tell you. That eventually evolved into him repeatedly telling me that keeping the surprise was really hard and he wanted to just tell me. I kept saying, no, you've kept it a surprise for this long, you can keep it going. But one day after dinner, he decided he couldn't keep it in anymore. He showed it to me. It was only about a fourth done, but it was lovely. The yarn was really soft and it was my favorite color. I could tell he had taken his time because of the consistency of all the loops. Even unfinished, it was perfect. He told me that he kept moving it around to different hiding spots, but since our house is very small, it was only a matter of time before I accidentally found it. He said he had run out of yarn and asked if I wanted to pick out another color to add to it. I said yes, and we made a little date out of it. We grabbed lunch and then walked around the craft store before I picked out a complementary color to the one he chose. He hasn't had much time to work on it the last few days, but he assured me it will be finished by my birthday. I'll post a picture of the blanket when it's finished. For now, I am wildly impressed with how long he kept it a secret, and I'm so excited to have my first ever handmade blanket. Guys, take notes. This is how you husband. This is cute. I'm gonna put this in my pocket for like when I have a wife, because that's adorable. If you're looking for more messy Reddit stories, click the link at the top of the description or the videos popping up on screen right now. The members of our community love these videos, and I'm sure you'll enjoy them too.